What's up, everyone? Before we get into today's video, I wanted to announce, actually it's already been announced on Uncle Tony's Garage, but I want to make our announcement today that we're going to be working with Uncle Tony's Garage and Nick's Garage doing a budget Mopar build with a 318. So if you guys are really excited about a absolute budget build, check out Uncle Tony's Garage, Nick's Garage, and let's do this thing and just have a real good time. We're going to learn a lot, and we're going to do a straight from ground up marathon live engine build. That's gonna be crazy. I'm very excited. I hope I have enough time to take as much notes as I can and absorb as much knowledge as I can, because this is gonna be super cool. Now, without further ado, let's go ahead and start working on figuring out what we're gonna have to replace on the budget satellite. All right, let's do this. What's up, everyone? Welcome to New York's great infamous spring. And I know they say April shower bring May flowers, but at this point I'm fairly confident the pilgrims would have turned around and went home. So our goal for today is to get this up on stands. We're going to slide this set of 2x6s up underneath there so that it has a nice stable platform. We're going to put our stands right on that. As far as underneath here, we're going to start disconnecting some things to get the engine ready for pull. I want to get the Holley off and the engine plate for pulling the engine out right on there. And we'll have to order a rebuild kit for that Holley. Now, the real big thing is like unwrapping a present. We got to pop this whole front suspension apart so we can see what's going on. First, pull the wheels off, check out the torsion bars, which I have a feeling that's what we're going to be looking at. Torsion bars, ball bearings, all that fun stuff. As far as I can see underneath there, the frame looks fantastic, so I'm not too worried about the frame. But we do have some form of issue, because otherwise we got to figure out why the camber is so off. As far as everything else goes, it's not going to be a real good day for working outside. She's pretty cold. And you would almost think we were still in winter. Crazy, it's nuts. So let's go ahead and start digging right into this thing and get her done. So we're going to work on the easiest thing first, which is getting this Holley off and replacing it with this plate. That way when we go to pull it, it'll be real easy. I don't really have a lot of good structure on the ground here, so we have to make it so that pulling this thing is easy. So pretty straightforward. Worst case scenario, if we don't have, if the bolts won't go through the plate, I have washers and stuff like that. We could use as spacers, or I probably have extra bolts and that will actually fit perfect for us. So first, pull this off, see what we're working with. Once it's off, we'll get an order out for a replacement kit or a rebuild kit. We'll get it nice looking and everything, get her running right, and that way when we go to dyno this and everything, we know that well, we would hope that the Holley will be perfect. So, first things first, this is going to go right in the garbage. She's pretty grody. I don't know where the garbage is. Oh, it's right, it's over there. So we'll just we'll set that aside for now. The other thing is, I always have a tendency of never reusing hoses unless I really, really need to. So don't throw the hoses away until you have replacements. You never know what lengths they are just by kind of eyeballing it. However, I would say some of these have been replaced over time, and they are a bit longer than they ought to be. Well, that's a unique way of doing that. So the return spring, or the spring right here on this, is actually attached to the hose clamp, which it's not something I've ever seen. So let's go ahead. I'll pull this apart. Once we're ready to get to the next point, I'll be right back. Okay, guys. So that came off very easy. We had a little bit of dry rot in this one vacuum hose. But like I said, I never reuse vacuum hoses. They're cheap enough. It's not a good idea, in my opinion, to reuse them. As far as it goes, it is an Edelbrock Performer 318-360. I don't know what model other than that. If any of you guys do know, please let me know in the comment section down below. The other big thing is that I'm very happy about, it is very cold out. I'm not happy it's very cold, but if you guys see it shaking, just that's why. There was no sign of intrusion inside of the actual intake manifold itself. Heck, it barely looks like it was ever used. I did get a little bit of schmoo in there when I pulled the gasket off, but nothing terrible. So we're going to go throw the plate on here. We'll put the gasket back on here just for tee-hee giggles. We're going to replace it anyways. I was just going to see what the surface underneath the gasket was like. So we're in really good shape right now. It is a dual plane. Other than that, I can't tell you what make, model, and when it would have been put in. It just doesn't seem like it was really used much, which is kind of concerning. But you know, it is kind of it is what it is. So we're gonna figure that out later on. Why it end up sitting. I also had a couple people thinking that this may have been a pretty hard impact, but I have a feeling it was more just from where it was sitting. I don't think all of this damage was done by an accident or being sideswiped. It looks more like maybe a little bit of sideswipe from something down at where it was stored or kids. There was actually a really nice car that was sitting there. There's a school right on the other side of the fences, and all the windows were knocked out of that car. It looked like it happened recently. It was really disappointing, but because it was an old suicide door Lincoln. But you know, kids are, you know, unfortunately kids will be kids. So let's go ahead, get that plate on there, and start seeing what we have underneath the old suspension, if it's a broken torsion bar, or if it's ball bearings, or, you know, it's something we got to kind of figure out now and tackle as soon as possible. But well, that's what happens when you find a car and you decide, let's save this old girl. And I think she's going to be great. I had a couple people thinking it may have been the frame was rotted out. The frame, as far as what I could tell from getting up underneath it without really pulling wheels off and stuff like that, looked really, really solid. There wasn't even scaling on it, which that actually surprised me. I don't know if this was garage kept before it was parked outside in that area there, or what, because it's really mind-blowing that it survived as well as it has. So I don't know, maybe it was from the south. I'm not 100% positive. So anyways, let's go ahead, keep working on this thing. All right, we have a couple issues we are going to have to resolve before we actually start driving her around. Some things like this right here aren't too terrible. We have a little bit of, like, the frame as a whole is very solid, except for right there. There's a small pinhole of rust, which, you know, we'll cut about an inch out, and we'll weld a patch in there. We'll have about a 2-inch patch right here, but underneath is nice and solid. The rest of the frame, I'm knocking off that stuff. I shouldn't knock that stuff off. That's what's preventing that area from rusting. But the frame is very, very solid all throughout here. A little bit of rust spots, nothing that we can't just quickly patch. It doesn't go all the way through. There's no cracks or anything like that. So this area of the frame is fantastic. Actually, the frame itself is fantastic. And we'll get back to that in just a second. As far as why this thing was probably doing what it's doing, it's probably two parts that's causing it. One, the ball joints in this thing, even in the steering, there's just tons of play. This thing is, we're gonna have about, I'd say $1,100 worth of repairs. And the reason why it got so expensive so quick, and it's really not that expensive, we're gonna be into this car around $1,300, $1,400 with the budget rebuild on the engine and the purchase of the car. So like I said, just over $3 grand, maybe $3,500 for a running, driving 1972 Plymouth Satellite, I think that's a win. But we have some work to be done. It's not all sunshine and rainbows here. Because if we follow the frame back, the frame glory ends right where the torsion bar cross member is. So the cross member is rotted. And I do mean rotted. Fortunately, it's just the cross member. We might have a little bit of patchwork on the frame right here to match, you know, put it back together. They have, I think it's Summit Racing and Jegs. They both sell the same product. It's a cross member replacement. It is approximately 350 bucks. And while we have that out, we're going to go ahead and replace the floor pan in this area. We'll replace the, which needed to be done anyways on both sides. And we'll go ahead and replace the torsion bars. So the torsion bars are about $300 for a set of them, maybe a little bit more, and then $350 for the cross member. The frame that I was worried about, or the thing about the frame I was worried about, is if this was totally rotted through like every other one I've seen so far, I can't tackle that. It's just too big of a project right now, and it wouldn't be a budget at all. We would be going completely off the rails. But little patchworks in the frame here and there, because the rest of it's solid, I call that a win. These are actually, you know, as far as everyone I've seen, I haven't found one with a torsion bar that's survived. So with the engine out, we can go ahead, replace the floor pans. I have some really cool ideas. So I reached out to a couple people that I know, and I'm running this idea with by them, and we might be able to get some really cool road signs to replace the, kind of like collage them together for the floor pans and the trunk pan. So I think that's really cool. So we're going to be pulling that all apart anyways. I'm not worried about it. It's inexpensive. We can just weld a new one in. So like I said, I think so far what I'm finding with the engine rebuild, the purchase of the car, and the suspension, I haven't gotten to the back, but the suspension, brakes, and little patchworks, we're probably into this about $3,500. So, and I'm not going to paint it or anything, so we're going to do a dentless, you know, we're going to pull the dent out without doing any damage to the paint. So is it called paintless dent repair? And other than that, guys, the real reason why it was cambered out so bad is the ball joints on this side are trash. The ball bearings, or the ball bearings, the bearings are probably going to need to be replaced, which you should do anyways. In my opinion, you should do that when you replace the rotors. And we're going to replace the calipers. Like I said, around $3,500 all in so far. I think that's pretty good, especially seeing how I can't find a driving one of these for nearly that. So let's go ahead and pop the other side off and see if there's any surprises on that one. As far as I can tell, on the opposing side, the torsion bar cross member looks fine, but it is all one piece, and you don't want to, you know, try cobbling it together. We'll just cut out the old one and put the new one in. So anyways, let's go to the other side, guys. Put the wheel back on, drop it down. I'm actually going to leave a log right there so that it has something to sit on. I can fit the jack back under it in the future. But yeah, I'm still very, 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 very impressed with how well this has held up. Because even if you look at the floor above it, it's really not terrible. We're only going to have to do a little bit of patchwork on the floor pan. We just really need to replace the torsion bar cross member. That's the big thing. And while we have it out, you know, like I said, we'll do any repairs we need to do with the, let's see if I can hold you guys right there. We'll replace anything we need to replace on the floor. We might as well do the torsion bars. I don't actually see any damage to the torsion bar, but I don't see a piece of rubber on the bottom of this that doesn't need to be replaced. So, you know, we'll just replace what we have. We're not going to upgrade anything. Just keep it simple. And seeing how there's so many cars using this stuff right here, it's very common. We're very fortunate in that regard. So let's go ahead, other side, pull it off. All right, so let's take a look at this side. Actually, this side looks a lot better. If you go over here, that, like I was saying over there, torsion bar cross member, you can actually see how it's put together here. It's not going to be hard to replicate that. So, but over here, it's nice and solid. The frame, nice and solid. I don't see any cracks. This side doesn't even have, I don't see any cause for alarm on this side. We might have a little bit of a patch right there. So probably about, we will have a patch on this side. It's kind of like going to the, you know, a dentist. You have to kind of see what's going on. So we have a cavity right there, but the rest of it is nice and solid. Not a big deal. We'll cut it out. We'll replicate everything that we can, and then just make sure that it doesn't corrode in the future. The rest of the frame on this side looks fantastic. I don't see any problems. The wheel wells look great. We have this one hole, but we already knew about that hole. Yeah, no, I don't see anything to be too concerned about on this side. We do have a big issue here. Not a big issue, but it's along the same issue as on the other side. The ball joints are just totally shot. Not unexpected from how long it's been sitting, how old it is, and the fact that it probably has close to 140,000 miles on it. So that's the big thing we're going to have with the suspension, is just ball joints. It might be a little bit less expensive than I was originally expecting or saying. Generally, the reason why I put a bigger number inside my head is to expect that it's going to be pretty expensive. But ultimately, if we replace the ball joints ourselves and not the whole unit, it'll be a lot less expensive. So the big expense will be torsion bar and torsion bar cross member. And we'll go ahead and replace these guys because, you know, while we're here, might as well. No point of just leaving them. But the rest of it looks good. I don't know how easy it is to replace these bumps. I'll probably just leave them. Not too concerned. They are very squishy and pretty chattered, but I don't see a reason to replace them. The rest of it looks good. So ball joints all around, rotors, calipers, brake pads. I'm sure we could probably get these rotors back together and running, but it's, in my experience, it's better just go and get them replaced. All right, guys, I am very happy with this. We have three rust patches and a cross member to replace, but we're going to be pulling the engine, the transmission anyways, and we have to replace the floor pans. Not a big deal. So I would say we might as well replace the torsion bars. I guess we'll when we get them out, we'll make that call, but I would just as soon replace them. Yeah, this isn't bad, guys. You know, for how old the car is and how long it's been sitting, not bad. We'll throw the tire back on. For some reason, it seems like it's getting colder today. I was hoping it would at least get a little bit warmer, but it really hasn't. So I'm happy. This is a lot better of a pull than the Buick was. We really don't have much work to do. Maybe a weekend worth of messing with the frame and the cross member. That's it. So cool. This is awesome, guys. She's solid. We still need to check out the back, but we're gonna leave that for another day. I think I've gotten good soaked through on my knees and my elbows. So she's a cold one, guys. You know, gotta love northeastern weather. It could be 60 degrees one day and then snowing the next. I don't know. But it's beautiful up here. It really is. Anyways, not too concerned. We're actually doing as good, or if not a little bit better than I was expecting. We don't have any cracks in the frame. I didn't see any real glaring issues in this. I don't know how bad you guys think it's going to be to replace that cross member, but I don't think it's going to be too hard. Not with something fell behind me. Like I said, one day I was looking up, working on a car, and there was a raccoon in that tree just staring down at me, and I was like, oh, geez. So I'm always wondering what's going to happen. Just snow falling behind me. It's like, ah. Anyways, we're doing good. We're doing really well. We'll have the brake lines, fuel lines replaced when we're doing this. I think we're going to have this knocked out. I think we'll have it knocked out before... Let's be realistic here. Seeing how I'm not going anywhere other than down to Uncle Tony's garage, I have a lot of time on my hand, and that's really what you need, is just time. And I think we'll have this done before midsummer. That's my assumption. That's good. We get to a little bit of time with this thing. And once parts start coming in, we'll knock out some of the bits and pieces on the Buick as well. But this is going to be our focus right now. I think we're doing well. Especially when you live up in the Northeast, you can't really expect anything better from a car that's as old as this. You're not going to get it. Heck, the frame on this is, well, except for the cross member being rotted out and a few little rust spots, it's probably as good of a condition as my Jeep. My Jeep's solid, it just has scaling on it. I don't know, it's just like a Jeep thing, I don't know. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I think we're going to do well on this project, and I am very much looking forward to, and I'm sure most of you guys have seen it already. I'm going to be collaborating with Uncle Tony's Garage and Nick's Garage. We're going to be pulling this engine. We're bringing it down to Uncle Tony's Garage where we're going to refresh it. We're going to get it so it goes fast on a budget, doing pretty much whatever we have currently in there, and refresh parts and the tricks that Uncle Tony has learned over his years doing mopar stuff. And after that, we're gonna try crossing the border, bring the engine up to Nick's Garage, and get this thing dyno and see what kind of horsepower this thing's gonna have. After that, pop it back in. By then, hopefully, we'll have all the frame stuff all sorted out too. At least the cross member will be sorted out. And then we'll go for a few skids, and hopefully, maybe sometime soon, Lebanon Valley will open up and we'll be able to bring it down the track. And that would be super cool. But until the next time, you guys, have yourselves a wonderful day. The sun is finally starting to peek through the clouds, and maybe that will make the snow melt. It's supposed to be kind of a decent few days coming up. Maybe we can get this engine pulled. But that's all I have for you guys today. Keep it shiny side up and stay healthy.